tuned to Kennett, Zenith Cablevision. Thank you for watching. It's time for talk. Each evening at this time, Monday through Friday, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is a community betterment service designed to cooperate with our local community betterment program. Tonight, Rosemary takes us by means of portable camera out of our studios and maybe into your neighborhood. And now, it's time for talk.
All right, you know where we are. We're at the Daily Dunklin Democrat Archives. We're in the back room, and we have Spensor Furby here, who spends an hour a day researching things that are in these old Dunklin Democrats.
Here is an interesting thing, and later on it talks about some Kennett people involved. The worst, I should say, the deadliest tornado in U.S. history had hit in Missouri, up near Annapolis, Missouri, in Iron County, and they're reporting it in our newspaper because some Kennett people later on, it mentions, were there for some reason. But it killed 735 people. It went across
1925.
3 states. I only know that because Noah, my son, is so infatuated with tornadoes, and he reads about them all the time, and this is always listed as the worst one in history.
Oh, okay.
There were no warnings, and so people didn't have a chance to prepare for it.
Everybody attends some church Sunday. Isn't that great?
That's right. They felt like, and they wrote this in articles all the time, it didn't matter where you went, it made you a better citizen if you would attend church.
And it will.
It will.
It will.
It would. Here's a Dodge. Nice Dodge car.
Now, wait a minute. Biliousness. Retired minister tells how he keeps in good form with the assistance of blackdraw. Biliousness. Do you even know what it is to be bilious?
I don't, and I should, because a minister had it.
Well, it's not contagious. I don't know that I know what biliousness is either. If you're bilious, you're sick. I do know that. Okay, so your liver is not working. There's too much bile, and you don't feel good at all.
Well, his testimony is, for years I've been suffering with my liver.
Yeah.
He says sometimes the pain would be very intense and my back would hurt all the time.
Now, this is a minister saying this?
Yeah, my liver has always been sluggish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to take Carter's little liver pills. He took Blackdraw.
Blackdraw, whatever. This, like I said, that some Kennett residents were actually in that tornado, and here the next week it says former residents in Cyclone J.N. Claxton seriously injured. So several went up to visit, but there were a couple that were in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it of interest to Kennett people, is of that one.
You do that.
Okay, here's where the ice cream factory actually opened. It says the Kennett Ice Cream Company began operation on small scale last Friday when it froze several batches of ice cream, all of its machinery not being put into full operation yet. So it finally got underway. I'm not sure. It didn't last very long, I don't think, because you don't see it very much after this. But here's something I think everybody will probably recognize. It says the greatest screen attraction of the age, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh.
And Lon Chaney, probably some people know that name.
Oh, yes. They're still on. He's still on some of the old-time things. It would have been silent.
Would have been silent?
I think so. Okay. Wonder how much the admission was.
20 cents and 40 cents.
Oh, at the Palace Theater. Well, that was a landmark for years back then. Don't know when it began.
Okay, one of the, here we're in April now, 1925. They put it in quarters, so we're on the second quarter. 4 prisoners cut the bars and make an escape from jail. That led to a desire for a new jail, for one thing. Over here, it is Easter time, and here you can see...
Oh, look at that dress for Easter.
High-class dress.
Yeah. High-class dress, $10.95 to $42.50.
That'd be pretty high back then, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't believe... Oh, that would be terribly high for that.
And gold medal hats.
Okay, and what's for the men?
Light flannels,
They still have.
Florsheim shoes, Bostonian shoes.
Okay, $7 to $10 for a pair of shoes.
Ooh,
Okay.
that seemed high. Did something to that, didn't they? Okay, here, they're gambling in town. Officers, it says, arrest 10 on Sunday, break up a large crap game. So,
Now, who's the officer? Who are the?
Well, that's a good question.
Does it tell you?
yeah, since Sheriff Gruggett and his deputies, assisted by Arkansas officers, made a raid near Cardwell Sunday, which resulted in the arrest of 10 men who were charged with various offenses, including gambling, carrying concealed weapons, bootlegging, and having whiskey in their possession.
Oh, bootlegging was the industry for Cardwell in
I
all
bet it
those
was.
years. Oh,
Out
that
in those
St.
woods
Francis
out there.
River looked like the woods were on fire, I've heard, with all the stills back in the river operating.
Now here, carpenters and painters working on remodeling for the Kroger store to come in.
Okay.
It's remodeling the Spiva building on the north side of the square for the Kroger store.
North side of the, I don't know where that Kroger store was then.
So, that's where it originally went in. This is when Adolph Goldsmith, who wrote for the
Oh.
newspaper so much.
Yes, and we interviewed him several times.
Well,
yes,
he was the best boy speller in southeast Missouri, but he missed a word. Dunklin County may not have the best speller in southeast Missouri because he lost, but it has the best boy speller in this section in the person of Adolph Goldsmith, who, of course, went on to master words, you know. For the Kennett High School, represented this county in the district spelling contest at State Teachers College in Cape. Okay, it was not until all the boys and many of the girls entered had been spelled down and only he and 2 girls remained that he was given a word he was unable to spell. You want to guess what the word was?
Tywopity. No, what was it?
Fidgety.
Fidgety?
Could you spell fidgety?
F-I-G-I-T-Y.
There's a D before the G.
Oh.
Yeah, that's probably what he did too.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a great article.
Your nose
It's
full.
old, yeah. Yeah. A lot of times you want to know when certain businesses were in business at the time. This one lists all the merchants. It starts, I think, maybe somehow puts it in some kind of order. But anyway, you got Baldwin Furniture Company in Kennett, Baldwin's East Side Pharmacy, Shelton Riggs Hardware, Wilkeson, never heard of that, Auto Company, Edmonston's Bakery, Leslie Lumber Company, E.C. Robinson Lumber Company,
That was an old one, yes.
Stout Keaton Grocery, Coca-Cola Bottling, Blair Brothers Groceries, People's Bank of Holcomb, Gideon Anderson Company, and R.H. Hogue. Some of that was in Holcomb. It's just interesting to kind of see what all was here.
The old name, E.C. Robinson, hung on longer than any of the rest of those, I think.
A lot of lumber
Yeah,
companies.
yeah.
Kennett Wholesale Grocery. Now that continues the next week. The next edition here. And here of all of them for this year, this one I find most interesting.
It's an update on the restroom in
No.
the courthouse. No?
No. And it might be a smaller article. It'll take a minute to get there. This is out of Cape Girardeau from the college then.
Okay.
Optimism for the modern girl has been expressed by Dean Kathleen Gillard of State Teachers College, who addressed the college YMCA recently on the problem of discipline for college girls. I believe less than 5% of our girls are flappers. But these few make themselves so everlastingly conspicuous that we cannot help thinking about them, Dean Gillard stated, adding concerning all girls, if we concentrate on the whole group, the more reason we have to feel optimistic about them. So I don't know what is a flapper exactly?
Well, I thought the flapper was the style of dress you wore, you know, the Charleston, the long waist, the little hat. I didn't know they were troublemakers.
I wonder
of
if that's a
some
stereotype. It says the revolt of youth of today is one aspect of the young generation asking, why should we do this and that? Stands of society which young folks usually consider cumbersome or changing and cannot be explained. This could be said in any generation.
Right. This could be current stuff. and all through the
Just
60s.
publish it in our DDD
Right,
and-
right,
Yeah.
and it's...
Change
yeah.
the flapper name to something else. Okay, here's a small twister hits Cardwell. This is May 12th, 1925.
Now, I'm not born yet, so
Okay.
I don't
So
remember
you weren't
this.
affected by this
Okay,
one.
all
Okay,
right.
but your mother probably was.
That's true.
It'd be hard to estimate the damage done by the cyclone, which struck in the vicinity of Cardwell about 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, taking a path about a mile wide, that's pretty big, 3 or 4 miles long, and accompanied by severe hail, from which did hundreds of dollars of damage to the crops in this section, according to some farmers. The heaviest loser is Ellis Jack Johnson, whose
Jack
garage
Johnson, yes,
was
I know
destroyed.
Jack Johnson, yes.
So he lost his garage and several roofs.
But he was a carpenter, luckily, so...
Yeah, so he could put his roof back on.
So it was just the paying for the material.
Right.
Yes, Jack and Hetty Johnson, my word.
I'm trying to find the little thing. This would go in the article on the column of strange people in the world.
Okay.
It says, a new story from Old Mexico tells of the crucifixion by a group of religious fanatics of one Mario Leon, who declared he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Leon is said to have preached that he would reenact the crucifixion and resurrection. Good Friday, the story goes, his followers nailed him to a rugged cross where he died in agony, and placing the body in an earthen tomb, his votaries devoutly awaited his resurrection Easter morning, and when he failed to rise, they are said to have opened the tomb and sent the bodies and sent it back home for a funeral.
They were just so I bet he was disappointed.
I bet.
My word,
Yeah, all that expectation. I just read that and thought, you've got to be kidding.
No, they... Spencer, that's an interesting thing. They'd cut all the timber, Kennett, Zenith, Malden, Cardwell, and they're blowing the stumps. Read that.
Okay. So just prior to the beginning of a regular field work for the present cropping season, 20 landowners in Dunklin County cleared the stumps from 477 acres of fertile land by the use of pyritol, the war salvage explosive distributed to Missouri farmers through the Extension Service of the Missouri College of Agriculture.
Okay, now that's dynamite, isn't it? Just dynamite?
Pyritol is some form, but apparently it was left over from the war cause, and
1,000 acres. They cleared the stumps. Kennett? All right.
yeah, this is May of 25, and May then was the same as May now. It's the graduating time. So the pictures of the 1925 senior class of Kennett High School. Actually see pictures. Alice McCaney.
Alice McCaney, okay.
Clyde Wellman. Lemma G. Gaddis Hall was the class president. Molly Rickey. Hazel Mayberry. Zepha Mead. Carol Lloyd. Leela Sherrill. Naomi G., Joe Hall, Myrtle Cook, Beulah Fox, Willie Grogan, Fern Hiley, Leachman Gaddis, Jack Phillips, Alma Dunnigan, Joe Hicks, Mildred Benson, Herbert Jones, Ruby Scott, Truman Lacey, Leota Tollert, Mary Lee Wallace, Joe Wellman, Nell Lemons.
Now, it was a little unusual to have
First
pictures
time.
in here. First
It's the
time?
first time.
Okay.
At least in the years.
I don't know what the first graduating, I don't know what year the first graduating class came out of here, so surely this was not the first one.
That's right. That's right. 1925, June. 14 reasons you should buy your gas from the following filling stations. Apparently the Kennett ones. West End, still there, right? East End,
I think that's gone.
Kennett Engine and Boiler Works. W.R. Hall, north of the city. C.B. Ruff, I see his name a lot. 2 Mile Island Store. J.B. Miles at Caruth, and Presler's, West End Broadway in Zenith.
So, William Jennings Bryan, is that who that is?
That's right. This is always opposed to the teaching of evolution. William Jennings Bryan has pledged to the state of Tennessee all his power and influence in the state's prosecution of Professor Scopes, high school teacher charged with teaching Darwinism in his classes.
Okay.
Now later on, they'll go ahead with this, and there's going to be a Kennett man who testifies.
Remember his name?
Goldsmith's uncle, A.O. Goldsmith's uncle.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, we'll run across
You
it.
know, of course, that we've been up in the archive